Hi friends, I'm going to review Springdale's barrel-aged Brigadeiro. And so this one is double barrel-aged, which is a super popular thing to do these days. So it's barrel-aged for 3 months in both bourbon and maple barrels, which are usually these bourbon barrels that have been then used to age maple syrup. So they haven't actually added any maple themselves to this. The base beer, Brigadeiro, they call it a breakfast stout, but it's just a big oatmeal stout with lactose and coffee in it. No chocolate, but oftentimes the dark roasty flavors combined with lactose makes really, really milk chocolatey taste. So I had this, I think I had a small pour of this at the brewery. It was pretty good. I had the first batch, thought it was pretty good. It's only barrel aged 3 months, but it is 2 different kinds of barrels. Don't know the exact bottling date, but it was pretty recent. So this is rather fresh, and it's 8.5% alcohol. So let's just jump into it. My girlfriend already opened it and had a pour herself, but I haven't had it yet. Not a huge amount of carbonation, which is fine. With these big rich stouts, I feel like a lot of carbonation can kind of mess with the mouthfeel a bit, make it seem a little less full and creamy. But otherwise, it looks very good, very, very dark. That's for sure. The head's even a little bit dark, but this isn't super strong. It's only 8.5, which is why it doesn't have super high ratings. If it had been over 10% and they didn't tell you that they only aged it for 3 months, because people often want, year-aged beers, but sometimes you don't need that much time in the barrel, especially if it's actual barrels. Interesting. I get the maple in there, and definitely the bourbon. They're strong enough. I mean, I guess it's pretty fresh, but those are some of the most prominent aromas. I'm getting really big, funky, weird bourbon stuff. Bourbon has always had kind of a funky flavor and aroma to me. It smells a little bit like vomit to me sometimes. I don't know why exactly, but I'm getting that. I'm getting that hot, intense, in your face bourbon quality. Yeah, they don't tell you which bourbon barrels, but it almost reminds me a little bit of Jim Beam. A little bit nicer than that. And there's a teeny bit of oaky vanilla, but that bourbon funk is in there. Prominently, almost overtaking the maple. And of course, there's plenty of milk chocolatey stuff going on. Smells like it's going to be a little bit sweet. A little bit of a toasted marshmallow quality. Yeah, this is probably too warm or too cold right now. Maybe we can swirl it around, warm it up, get some aromas going in there. Yeah, it smells almost like a bourbon s'mores in a way. Coffee's in there too, but there's just so much going on that the coffee isn't bursting out. It's not taking over. Like, I've had plenty of coffee stouts where it's like, whoa, I'm mostly getting coffee, but this one has the coffee standing back a bit. I'm betting I'll get a lot of nice roasty coffee notes on the tongue. Pretty velvety smooth, not a huge body. Yep, and the coffee roast comes in nicely. Really nice. There's some fruity coffee notes too, almost like some dried dark berries. A little bit smoky in the finish, coming back with hitting you with that bourbon s'mores flavor. Most pastry stout boys would be like, it's a little bit thin, but it's 8.5%, and it's not too sweet, so that's what happens, basically. I like it. I'm not, a gigantic fan of these big flavored stouts, but my girlfriend likes this one, that's why she got it. And I'm enjoying it, but I would almost let it sit a little bit longer because the barrels are so strong, but I wouldn't want it to lose some of the flavorings and have it get a little bit, a little more fermentation happening in the bottle or something, because then it might get a little bit thinner. But it really is pretty luscious, velvety, and on the tongue it's just really soft on there, just glides right over it, and I like that feel. It doesn't need to be super thick and viscous and syrupy for me to really enjoy the feel of a big stout. And it definitely finishes with some tannins. I'm getting some woody drying on the tongue, even though it's just 3 months, but definitely big barrel presence in this beer. And I'm getting a little nice white dot in here from the carbonation, so it is pretty well carved. I'm getting some burps here. And in terms of like legs, there's a little bit of a leg thing happening. If I swirl it, I can sort of see through the edges. It's not ridiculously dark and thick, not soy saucy or anisey or licoricey at all, which I'm not a huge fan of those flavors usually. Head's coming up again, but I feel like this one will get even more complex as it warms up. Well, this beer does a really good job of getting all those pastry stout flavors and barrel flavors in a smaller, more palatable package. This is really easy to drink despite all the stuff that's going on. Whereas some of those pastry stouts, unless you're in the mood for drinking, 500 calories in 5 ounces, and you want that, this is a lot better, I think. This is much more palatable than your standard $20 a bottle, 11.5% pastry stout. Yeah, I continue to be a fan of Springdale, because they're keeping up with the trends and doing a good job, but they're doing it in a more palatable way. Like, I love their Good New IPA. That's been like really consistent. There's only been like one batch, I think, that was not too great, but that's a really nice, hazy, intensely hoppy beer, but it's also not super thick and full-bodied and a little bit drier than most of your hazy IPAs. And that's what they seem to be doing at Springdale's, is packing in all the flavors I want, and nice feels in their beers, but not making them quite as big and sweet, and what a lot of people are looking for in trends these days. And I like these trends, I enjoy them, but I don't want my beer to be super sweet. Those beers, I think, are really appealing to the lower evolved tastes. Humans, we love calories evolutionarily. And so we just, sweet things make us feel good. We like them a lot more, but having a little bit more dryness is what I look for in most of my beers, because that way it's more drinkable and it has more complex bitter flavors often. Maybe I should do a separate video about that whole debate on the bitter versus sweet, which is more complex, which is better. Yeah, I think I might do some videos that, talk about current trends today, maybe what my viewers think I should delve into more rather than just these video reviews. But yeah, maybe it'd be good to just comment on some trends, mention a few articles, what I like and what I don't. But this beer I do like. I won't give it a crazy high rating, a little over 4 or something like that. It's not my favorite style. I usually don't even want the barrel-aged stouts these days, but this one makes it palatable. So I'll give it, at least a 4. And I'd recommend it, especially if you're at the brewery, get a taste of it, because they have all their stuff at the brewery. You can get a small pour for it for a great deal price. Bye.